on the bank of what? Or on the bank of some lake. So what Prabhupada writes in the 15th chapter is, the upside down tree is possible on the bank of some watery body. So where is this upside down tree for a living entity? It is on the bank of the desires of the living entity. Everyone wants to desire, everyone desires to lord it over the material nature. On the bank of that lording over the material nature, the desire to lord over the material nature, this banyan tree, upside down banyan tree of material existence is getting activated and getting reflected. So one world is spiritual world and the another world is a material world. So it's about the consciousness. Where is the desire? Desire existence in the consciousness. And therefore, whole 15th chapter speaks about this Urdhva Mula Madashatam. And 16th chapter, now it elaborately explains about this banyan tree which is upside down. The 16th chapter speaks about the fruits of the banyan tree. Purushottam Mas was there, and Purushottam Mas we generally said 15th chapter. And all of you are so fortunate to hear it from Siddha Shikta Prabhu. And I was thinking, Purushottam this coming 15th chapter is able to take, but Krishna has some other plan. So I was not able to take this. So 15th chapter spoke about material world to spiritual world by detachment and surrender. So material world exists on the desire of the living entity, and with the acts of detachment, vairagya, abhyasena kaunteya vairagyena dushyate. A practice in detachment, one can train the mind. Where is the desire? Desire is in the mind. When the living entity transmigrates, and then Krishna's position as our maintain this world. Although we have come to this material world, Krishna is trying to maintain us. I'm just thinking about the overview of the 15th chapter. And then Vedas. What is summary of Vedas? Kshara, Akshara, Super Soul beyond Kshara and Akshara, and Lord Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So he is to be known from the Vedic literature. And if you know Krishna, means knowing everything. Knowing Krishna when engaged in his bhakti, whoever understands this will attain knowledge, realization, and perfection. Okay. So this was discussed in the 15th chapter. In 16th chapter, now once we have discussed about the tree, why generally farmer cultivates crops? He wants to sow a seed so that he wants to grow crops. If he wants to plant some mango trees or coconut trees, he's not interested in the tree, he's interested in the fruits. So what is the fruit of that tree? The 16th chapter speaks about this upside down tree which is there in the material world. We discussed elaborately about it. But what are the fruits? So Bhaktivedanta Bhushan, I think Chakravarti, one of them writes, the fruits of this upside down tree is Daivi and Asuri Sampatti, which is discussed in 16th chapter, divine and demonic natures. So in the previous chapter, Krishna described the banyan tree of the material world, but its fruits have not been described. In this chapter, Krishna describes the fruits of the tree, which are of two varieties: good fruits, divine qualities that cause liberation, and bad fruits, demonic qualities that cause bondage. First, he describes the good fruits. So, what are the good fruits? Daivi Sampat, divine consciousness. And what are the bad fruits? Asuri Sampat, demonic qualities. Okay? Just Pro, can you share the screen? Because I'm getting from my mobile. My laptop is not having Wi-Fi.
Yes, please.
And I'll be taking today's session till 7:30 because I have another backup class here. I've come to some other temple, backup class. So because I've come to a temple, I could not resist then. So I'll try to cover the first 3 verses and then continue from 4th verse tomorrow. Okay, the first verse, 16th chapter. Good fruits. First, let's discuss the good fruits. Abhayam sattva samsuddhir jnana vyavasthiti danam damashta yajnashta swadhyayastapa arjavam ahimsa satyam akrodas yaga shantirapayshunam dayabhuteshu alolupvam madhavam rir achapalam tejakshamagadhir shaucha adrohanatimanita bhavanti sampadam dairim abhijatasya bharata. Okay. Abhayam sattva samshuddhi jnana yoga vyavastita. So these first three qualities, these refer to sannyasi. Danam damashcha yajnashcha. This danam dama yajna. Charity, self-control, sacrifice. These are for grihasthas. Swadhyaya is for brahmachari, Vedic study. And tapa arjavam is for the vanaprasthas. So basically the varnashram part is being discussed in this verse. Ahimsa satyam akrodas yaga shanti rapaishunam daya bhuteshvalo ruktam mardavam hrira chapalam tejakshama dhritir socham adroha nati manitaha bhavanti sampadam daivi abhijatasya bharata. So after describing which are the qualities for different ashramas, then for all the varnas, different qualities are described in this whole. There are 26 qualities. Generally, we speak about the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava. These are also 26 qualities. Okay. Yes, so we can read the translation verse quickly.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from co- covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belongs to godly man endowed with divine nature. But in the beginning of 15th chapter, the banyan tree of this transcendental word was explained. The extra roots coming out of it were compared to the activities of living entities, some auspiciousness, some inauspiciousness. In the ninth chapter, also the Devas or godly and the Asuras, the ungodly or demons, were explained. Now, according to Vedic rites, activities in the mode of goodness are considered auspicious for progress on path of liberation, and such activities are known as Daiva Prakriti, transcendental by nature. Those who are situated in the transcendental nature make progress on the path of liberation. For those who are acting in the mode of passion and ignorance, on the other hand, there is no possibility of liberation. Either they will have to remain in the material world as human beings, or they will descend among the species of animals or even lower form. In the 16th chapter, the Lord explains both the transcendental nature and its attendant qualities and demonic nature in its qualities. He also explains the advantage and disadvantage of these qualities. The word abhijatasya in reference to one born of transcendental qualities or godly tendencies is very significant. To beget a child in godly atmosphere is known in Vedic scripture as Garbhadhan Samskar. If the parents want a child in the godly qualities, they should follow the 10 principles recommended for the social life of human being. In the Bhagavad Gita, we have studied also before the sex life for begetting a good child is Krishna himself. Sex life is not condemned, provided the process is used in Krishna consciousness. Those who are in Krishna consciousness at least should not beget children like cats and dogs, but should beget them so that they may become Krishna conscious after birth. That will be advantage of children born of father and mother absorbed in Krishna consciousness. The social institution known as Varnashram Dharma, the institution dividing society into four divisions of social life and four occupational divisions or caste, is not meant to divide human society according to birth. Such divisions are in terms of educational qualification. They are to keep the society in a state of peace and prosperity. The qualities mentioned herein are explained as transcendental qualities meant for making a person progress in spiritual understanding so that he can get liberated from the material world. In the Varnashram institution, the sannyasi or the person in the renounced order of life is considered to be the head or spiritual master of all the social status and orders. A Brahmana is considered to be the spiritual master of three other sections of society, named the Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. But a sannyasi who is on the top of his tradition is considered to be the spiritual master of Brahmanas also. For a sannyasi, the first qualification should be fearlessness. Because sannyasi has to be alone without any support or guarantee of support, he has simply to depend on the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one thinks, after I leave my connections, who will protect me? He should not accept the renounced order of life. He must be fully convinced that Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his localized aspect as Paramatma, is always within, that he is seeing everything and he always knows what one intends to do. One must thus have firm conviction that Krishna as Paramatma will take care of souls surrendered to him. I shall never be alone. One should think. Even if I live in the darkest region of the forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna, and he will give me all protection. That conviction is called abhayam, fearlessness. This state of mind is necessary for a person in the renounced order of life. Then he has to purify his existence. There are so many rules and regulations to be
One
followed.
minute. I think it's a very long purport. I think you have read 4 paragraphs, right? So
Yes,
initially what Prabhupada told in the first paragraph was, what is the 15th chapter? This explains, 15th chapter explained about the material world, correct? Then come to the first paragraph. Come to the first paragraph. Yeah. So just gives an overview of what is 15th chapter. Then he speaks about the extra roots coming out of it where compared to the activities of the living entities, auspicious, inauspicious. Then also he quotes about 9th chapter. Where also there is mention of the Devi and Asuri. And now Vedic rites, activities in the mode of goodness, 13th chapter, all those things are mentioned in different places. Like 13th chapter, 14th chapter. So why? What is the purpose of discussing transcendental qualities, good qualities? The purpose of discussing transcendental qualities is because we want to get liberated. Because that is there is a path of liberation in that. Otherwise, in passion ignorance is no question. Because 14th chapter spoke about 3 modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. But only in the goodness there is a question of path of liberation, but not in passion and ignorance. So that is what there is no possibility of liberation in passion and ignorance. Either they will remain in the material world as human beings, or they will descend among the species of animals. That is already. So this is what 13th, 14th, till now, the whole overview of Bhagavata Prabhupada is explaining here. But now he comes to 16th chapter. What is there in the 16th chapter? Lord explains both the transcendental nature and its attendant qualities, and the demonic nature and its qualities. And he also explains the advantages and disadvantages of these qualities. So we're going to explain both Daivi Sampatti, Asuri Sampatti, and the transcendental nature, Adhyatmic Prakriti, and Bhautik Prakriti, and Daivi Sampatti and Asuri Sampatti. So then in second paragraph, Prabhupada focuses on what? Abhijatasya. So what is the meaning of that Abhijatasya? So one should not think, now I'm able to practice bhakti so nicely. If somebody is able to practice bhakti so nicely, why I'm not able to practice bhakti so nicely? Somebody is becoming so famous, somebody is so powerful, somebody has become so rich, somebody has become so influential, but why I'm not so? The reason is Abhijatasya means one born of transcendental qualities or godly tendencies is very significant. It means Krishna is telling Arjuna that Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharataha. 2 things are there here. One thing is Arjuna, you are not born of Daivi Asuric Sampati. You are born of Daivi Sampati. That is one thing. Second thing, anything good which is there, if you are trying to relish it or trying to experience it, that is what we are born into, and that is what we have done something in the past. So that is the reason Prabhupada speaks about here. Whatever you might be, especially for the grihasthas, or even for sannyasis or brahmacharis or vanaprasthas who have to support the grahastha ashram where a new being will be coming into society. Prabhupada told the fourth generation of our movement will be very powerful. Just by reciting a mantra, they can produce fire. What is the meaning of that? If the readers of this Krishna conscious movement properly understand sanskaras and in next three generation they follow these principles very strictly, then what will happen? The fourth generation will be so powerful. Just by recitation, they'll produce. Now we have to use fire for yajnas, but just by recitation, they can produce fire. So that means Prabhupada speaks here about to beget a child in a godly atmosphere is known as in the Vedic literature as Garbhadan Sanskar. So most of the devotees who are trying to enter, or anybody who is trying to enter the Grahastha ashram, it's very important that we have been born into this world, whatever it was, based on our action in the previous life. We were born to some pious parents because we come to Krishna consciousness shows that we were pious, we were having Krishna Bhakti. At the same time, those of us who are trying to enter the Grahastha ashram is very important based on the sanskaras which we start follow from right now. We will be attracting a so-called jivatma in our family. So it's not that just because I am a grasa, that means I can compromise on rules and regulations. Oh, I'm not becoming brahmachari. Or a brahmachari is okay, anyway I'm brahmachari, so anyway I'm practicing bhakti, so I don't have to follow so strictly all the rules and regulations. Not like that. Rules and regulations are meant to be followed by us for neophytes. And what to speak of pure devotees? They try to follow it at max. It's that they don't compromise over that whole thing. Okay. So Prabhupada speaks about the Garbhadan Sanskar in the second paragraph. To beget a child in godly atmosphere, it is known in the Vedic scripture as Garbhadan Sanskar. And if the parent want a child in the godly atmosphere, godly qualities, they should follow the 10 principles recommended for the social life of human beings. Again, there are 10 samskaras. What is the meaning of the 10 principles? 10 samskaras. Garbhadan Sanskar, Jata Sanskar, Nama Sanskar, Panayan Samskar. Many samskaras are there. So that is what Prabhupada is trying to speak about. Basically, where the divine quality or demonic quality they take birth from? Generally, they take birth from birth. Whether somebody is having divine consciousness or somebody is not having divine consciousness. How to understand? From the birth. So that is the meaning the word Abhijatasya has significance. And because this shloka is speaking about the good qualities, so Prabhupada is speaking about the birth in Krishna consciousness. So therefore one has to follow the 10 principles. And he speaks about sex life is not condemned, but it has to be done under samskara. So it's very important. Why? Because passion and ignorance give rise to only misery, nothing less than that. Nothing more than, nothing less than that. Misery has to come. So unless others don't come to goodness, there's no question of happiness in this world or satisfaction in this world. So as grahasthas, as brahmacharis, as sannyasis, as vanaprasthas, one has to be in goodness. Then only one will be happy. One will be uh, satisfied. Instead of happy, will be satisfied. So then he speaks on the third paragraph. The social institution known as varnashram dharma. He speaks about it. That is meant for because those who are not pure devotees, those are not pure devotees, for them it's very important that they follow the rules and regulations of varnashram very strictly. Why? Because that will help them to come to goodness. Pure devotion is beyond goodness. But Varnashram will try to bring us from passion and ignorance to goodness. That is the reason Varnashram is being stressed by Prabhupada here. In Varnashram institution, even sannyas, Prabhupada speaks about sannyasi, then Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, is all order, Varna. Ashrama is sannyasi, Vanaprastha, Brahmachari, and Grahastha. These are the orders. And Prabhupada speaks about sannyasi. What is speaking of sannyasi? Has to be alone without any support or guarantee of support. And then Bhaktivedanta Rajavidyalaya writes, what is the meaning of abhayam for a sannyasi? Fearlessness. The sannyasi should not be convinced, should not be bothering about who will take care of my existence, where the food will come from, where will I sleep, who will maintain me. The sannyasi doesn't have to go and flatter, rich people for the donations because they'll give money and therefore money will come and I will take care of myself and run the temple. Yeah, money will come. When money also comes also, and Prabhupada also saw, Prabhupada told, when some Prabhupada disciples came and told to Prabhupada, there are many sannyasis who don't touch money. Prabhupada told, okay, bring all the money and I'll try to embrace it because I can use it in Krishna's service. So, we need money for the maintenance of the temple. But we know that money is Lakshmi and Lakshmi is consort of Krishna. So, money is coming because Krishna's mercy. So, we are dependent on Krishna. We are not dependent on money. That is the principle. So, we as a movement, as an organization, we need money. But where the money is coming from? The sannyasi is convinced that money is not coming from our endeavor. Money is not giving, the rich person is not giving the money. It's Krishna who's inspiring him and we need it. Therefore, that money is coming to us. That is a dependence. That is the meaning of Abhayam. That means sannyasi has no other plan than depending on Krishna's grace. That is what Prabhupada is trying to tell here. For a sannyasi, he has to be alone without any support or guarantee of support. He has simply to depend on the mercy of Lord, Supreme Person of God. If one thinks, after I leave my connection, who will protect me? What is the meaning of connection? I'm cultivating so many rich people and all these people. If I leave them, if I don't pamper them, if I don't speak strongly to them, if I don't speak what is uplifting to them, then they may stop giving donation to me, then who will support me? No. One must be fully convinced that Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead, is his localized aspect as Paramatma, is in my heart, is in the heart of all living entities, and that he is seeing everything and he always knows what one intends to do. So Lord will take care. Lord will send people, and Lord will inspire whatever we need that must to be sent to us. One must therefore have one conviction that Krishna as Paramatma will take care of a soul surrendered to him. So this is the eligibility for sannyas. What is that? Krishna will take care. If one has this conviction, then one can take sannyas. And it's possible for those who can practice bhakti sincerely, it's possible. Tesham Sudaitanam Bhajatam Triti Purvakam Zadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Krishna is giving a promise. For those who are devoted to me with love and devotion and constantly trying to remember me, I give them the knowledge by which they can come to me. Either through sannyas, either through vanaprastha, either through grahastha, either through brahmacharya, whatever it is. But the thing is, Krishna will make sure the devotee will come to him and he will give him all protection. Even if I live in a darkest region of forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna and he will give me all protection. That conviction is called abhayam, fearlessness. This state of mind is necessary for a person that is now order of life. This is what Prabhupada is speaking about the first quality, abhayam. Then Prabhupada speaks about the further qualities. Then Prabhupada is explaining on the sannyas only, abhayam, abhayam sattva samshuddhi. He speaks about the purity of consciousness in the second next paragraph. Yes, somebody else can read because it's a very big purport. So here it speaks about Sattva Shamshuddhi. Therefore, the purport begins with he has to purify his existence. What purifies his existence? Consciousness. One has to purify his consciousness. We are very conscious of drinking distillery water or Hindi water. Very conscious of taking only Krishna Prasad. Very conscious of not eating outside, not eating Govindas. What to speak of? What is the consciousness when you are working on the content of a mobile or when you are working on the laptop? So we should be very, very conscious of this because why? The food you eat, the water you drink, it will have some immediate effect on your health. But the content we browse on laptop and on a mobile, that is not going to have the impact on this life, the impact of many lives. Therefore, the consciousness, spirit of consciousness is of higher priority. Therefore, Prabhupada is going to become very heavy in this paragraph. You'll never see Prabhupada becoming so heavy. Please read, somebody else can read quickly. It's all 7:30. I think mostly I'll end with this paragraph today. Yeah. Please read, bro.
Then he has to purify his existence. There are so many rules and regulations to be followed in the renounced order of life. Most important of all, a sannyasi is strictly forbidden to have any independent relationship with a woman. He is even forbidden to talk with a woman in a secluded place. Lord Chaitanya was an ideal sannyasi, and when he was at Puri, his feminine devotees could not even come near to offer their respects. They were advised to bow down from a distant place. This is not a sign of hatred for women as a class, but it is a stricture imposed on the sannyasi not to have close connections with women. One has to follow the rules and regulations of a particular status of life in order to purify his existence. For a sannyasi, intimate relations with women and possessions of wealth for sense gratification are strictly forbidden. The ideal sannyasi was Lord Chaitanya himself, and we can learn from his life that he was very strict in regards to women. Although he is considered to be the most liberal incarnation of Godhead, accepting the most fallen conditioned souls, he strictly followed the rules and regulations of the sannyas order of life in connection with association with women. One of his personal associates, namely Chota Haridas, was associated with Lord Chaitanya along with his other confidential personal associates. But somehow or other, this Chota Haridas looked lustily on a young woman, and Lord Chaitanya was so strict that he at once rejected him from the society of his personal associates. Lord Chaitanya said, for a sannyasi or anyone who is aspiring to get out of the clutches of material nature and trying to elevate himself to the spiritual nature and go back home, back to Godhead, for him, looking toward material possessions and women for sense gratification, not even enjoying them, but just looking toward them with such a propensity, is so condemned that he had better commit suicide before experiencing such illicit desires. So these are the processes for purification. The next item is
Yeah, yeah. So therefore, so for anyone who's trying to go back to Godhead, what to speak of enjoying those things, just to think of enjoying or looking at them is condemned. Why? Because our whole goal is to come to goodness, from goodness transcendence. And if you desire to enjoy, then it's like again we are trying to drift to passion and ignorance. And what happens is it's like we are trying to build a fire, and as soon as you put some water on it, again it takes a lot of time to build the fire. For example, when there is a pipe and there is some hole in the pipe, water starts leaking from the pipe. And what happens is if it's a plastic pipe or something like the determination not very strong, it's like plastic pipe. The chances that the hole which has been made there that can crack the whole pipe. The whole purpose, the water is indicating that the goal is you want to go back to water. But when the pipe is like the protection of rules and regulations of the Varnashram Dharma Krishna devotees. But once we start doing hidingly these activities, then we are trying to drill a hole in that pipe. And what happens is the heart becomes so hard-hearted and cunning, and the intellect becomes so lusty that we start hiding. We become thieves. We become plunderers. We start plundering our own Krishna consciousness. We become robbers of our own Krishna consciousness. And what happens when people of our country only become terrorists? When Indians only become terrorists, forget about the other country people. Pakistan will become terrorists. When Indians will become terrorists, what is hope for India? Same thing. Therefore, our trying to enjoy this material world is like we trying to become terrorists of our own Krishna conscious life. So it's a very dangerous situation. Hmm. So then the next thing Prabhupada speaks about is Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti. Someone else can read this paragraph.
The next item is Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti. Being
Yeah.
engaged in cultivation of knowledge, sannyasi life is meant for distributing knowledge to the householders and others who have forgotten the real life of spiritual advancement. A sannyasi, sorry, a sannyasi is supposed to beg from door to door for his livelihood, but this does not mean that he is a beggar. Humility is also one of the qualifications of transcendentally situated person, and out of sheer humility, the sannyasi goes from door to door. not exactly for the purpose of begging, but to see the householders and awaken them to Krishna consciousness. This is the duty of a sannyasi. If he is actually advanced and so ordered by his spiritual master, he should preach Krishna consciousness with logic and understanding. And if one is not so advanced, he should not accept the renounced order of life. But even if one has accepted the renounced order of life without sufficient knowledge, he should engage himself fully in hearing from bona fide spiritual master to cultivate knowledge. A sannyasi or one in the renounced order of life must be situated in fearlessness, sattva samsiddhi, purity, and jnana yoga, knowledge.
Okay,
The next type.
Prabhus. Yes, so we have covered three qualities. Sannyasi is very mature. If a person is very mature, if renounced, he should take sannyas, preach. If one is not very mature, then he should not take sannyas. Rather than he should try to hear from his guru, take association of his guru, cultivate knowledge. Because cultivating knowledge means then he'll come to fearlessness, sattva sambuddhi, purifies existence, and then he'll come to the Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti. So basically, one has to, from theoretical, he has to rise to practical application. Then he can take sannyas. So there are three qualities of sannyasis which were discussed in today, Devi Sampatti. So tomorrow we'll continue with Dhanam, Dhanam, Dhamma, Yajna. Okay. As I told, I have another class back to back now. We'll take 5 minutes. I'm ending now. Again, we'll join tomorrow at 7. We'll try to cover the remaining topic. If possible, we can start tomorrow a little earlier, 6:45, so that we can try to cover till 8:15, 1.5 hours. Hare Krishna. Any questions are there regarding this? We'll take tomorrow. Hmm?